Hello, my name is Ashley Yates, and this is my capstone presentation. Now, to begin, I want to state my problem statement. The community of Blue Ash does not know that the AGC program exists. This is a statement that I have constructed after hours of research and decided upon when I decided that my community would be the city of Blue Ash. Now, to explain my problem statement. No community we are connected to really knows we exist. New students, school advisors, the city of Blue Ash. But if we could become better known in the Blue Ash community, the word would eventually spread. One main reason we aren't very known is due to location, and many people don't even know the building we are in is owned by the university. Therefore, I believe that if we can bring people to us and demonstrate the skills we teach, then knowledge of us would spread to others. Now, my key findings. When considering how to achieve the goals of bringing in people and teaching them what we offer, we must first identify the audience. There are a few audiences I had to choose from. High schoolers, incoming students, the community of Cincinnati, and the community of Blue Ash. Now, when considering these different communities, I had to think about them. For instance, the community of Cincinnati is too broad of an audience, and our building is not located near Cincinnati. So to target a community that isn't near us would probably not be the best idea. The audience of incoming students and the audience of high schoolers. These were capstones that were already being constructed. So I decided to go with the community of Blue Ash, since that was a community that would not be targeted by the other capstones. Now, when looking at the community of Blue Ash, I had to look up statistical information. I wanted to figure out what type of an audience lived in Blue Ash, and I discovered that just 51.5% of the population is female. So that meant to me that there wouldn't be a majority of females, and I should probably make my capstone a little more gender fluid. 37% of the population consisted of families with children under 18. Now, when I was looking at age, I wanted to figure out what age my audience was going to be. I found that 24.5% of the population was under 18, and 65 and up was 16.8%. So that meant to me that even though they weren't a majority of the population, they were still pretty big percentiles to keep in consideration when constructing my capstone. When looking at employment in the area, as you can see by my little graph, a pretty big chunk had to do with sales, retail, business, and healthcare. So I needed to create some audience personas that kind of connected me to this audience, and this is what I've come up with. I came up with 5 different personas to represent the broader audience: Sharon Wells, Matthew Turner, Tyler McBride, Frank Miller, and Karen Vale. Now, all 5 of these people are personas that I recognize in my capstone and have created parts of my capstone to accommodate each of these personas. Now, for my design process and my solutions. When I was looking at solutions, I challenged myself to come up with 10 ideas so that I could further explore what the possibilities were. The first one was a workshop in which I could bring people to the school and teach them some things about what we do. The second was reusable bags. The idea was to design some front panels or have some students design front panels and possibly sell them in companies that would be utilized, like we utilize Plaza Art, and we would sell them reusable bags with our designs on them for them to sell in stores. The third one was a mural. The fourth was a sculpture on campus, on the Blue Ash campus. The fifth was an art sale. The sixth was maintaining and painting homes. The seventh was sponsorships for gallery events. 8 was restaurant menu redesigns in the community. 9 was elementary school workshops. And 10 was art for local businesses to display in their lobbies. My choice was the workshop. I was very excited about the concept of a workshop. I myself have wonderful memories of when my dad used to take me to Home Depot workshops where we would build small projects out of wood and nails, and then I would have an apron that said Home Depot on it, and they let me take it home, and I got to stay at home and pretend I was a carpenter with my little apron. It was very fond memories for me. However, I wanted a workshop that covered more than just children, because eventually people would lose interest. So I decided on multiple workshops that would cover the basis of all those audience personas you saw earlier. Then the questions. So I had a lot of questions to start off with. I mean, I was trying to build a workshop. There are a lot of things that go into it, especially if you're trying to build a workshop as complicated as I was planning. I was planning a series of workshops rather than just a singular workshop. And this series of workshops would be consistent of 4 different workshops that fell within 1 month. I chose 4 because there are 4 weeks in a month, and I figured that the best day of the week for these workshops to fall on would be a Friday. So I chose to do Friday each week, and each month there would be new workshops. Next we have the workshop. So I wanted the workshop to be an overarching brand with the 4 different classes that fell under them, because to design a brand for each individual workshop would take a while, and to have 4 different brands throwing around all the time would become confusing to the people we're trying to draw in. So I decided an overarching brand was exactly what this needed. And the purpose of the workshop was a series of workshops meant to promote awareness of both the AGC program and fine arts classes to the Blue Ash community. Now, I start with the logo and the colors because I wanted to get a sense of the brand overall before I started designing. You can see in the original sketch, I had an idea in my mind to kind of fuse the brain and a palette, because your brain has a creative side to it, and palettes are very representational of creativity. While this worked in theory and didn't turn out too bad, you can see on the right, where I have some of the mocked up logos, the brain was just a very complex shape, and it didn't look great when it was scaled down too far. So I ended up going with what my final design is. Which brings us to this, our final design system. Now, Designs by You is the brand title. It is the overarching brand for this project, and it is the logo that you will see on all of my deliverables. I really wanted the brand to eventually become recognizable down the long run. So I figured if I label everything, people won't forget where it came from. So we start with the initial contact, advertising materials. I have a pamphlet that is a funny looking shape. It is an accordion fold, and when it is expanded upon, it has a nice arch to it, which you would see kind of like a rainbow. I wanted that arch that you would see in a palette, but I wanted it to be represented on the pamphlet, so when you expand the pamphlet, there's a nice curve to the whole thing. And then in the poster, you can see the same curves demonstrated. That red curve is actually the G from the logo. In the website, I used all of the colors to kind of keep it a little on brand and organized as well. When applying to the workshops, you could contact us by email, by phone number, or just go to the site and register for each classes. And when you register for the class, it will take you through the application process, of course, where you would decide which class you want to go into, what amenities you'd like to have waiting for you when you get there, and so on. Now, what are the workshops? What do they teach? The first workshop, wine and paint workshop. When people come to this workshop, I wanted to have them feel like they were having fun and enjoying it, but I also wanted them to learn something at the same time. Now, in this workshop, you will see the goals of the workshop is to entertain, to teach painting techniques, and teach color theory. I wanted people to be able to learn about color theory, to mix their own paints, and to just have fun with it at the same time, because I think what will really get people to understand what we do is if they realize how much fun that this stuff can be. With the second workshop, this is a more family-friendly workshop, no alcohol involved. This workshop has the personalized memorabilia. So people would come in, bring their children, or bring themselves, and they would purchase an object, say a sweater or a bag or any of our personalizable objects. And with the price of the object, you would get the materials needed to personalize it. Kind of like you do in a ceramic shop, except we're using fabric paints and materials that are a little less expensive than ceramic. You can see the goals of the workshop, again, is to entertain, teaching painting design techniques. You can see color theory as well in this workshop, and you can see shape design on that list. Now, shape design is just a portion of the workshop that I was thinking about doing, where people could opt in to having someone assist them in designing a logo or an image or some kind of thing that they want to put on their personalized object, and they can gain assistance in those design processes by learning from whatever instructor we have teaching the course. Now, for the third workshop, we have still life drawing. For this workshop, I wanted it to be a little more fine arts as well, because it is a skill that we recognize in design, which is shape recognition. It's an important thing because if you can recognize the shape of something or a base shape of something, it makes designing a lot easier. Which is why I think drawing, and specifically still life drawing, where you have to observe an object, is very important. You would also be learning shading techniques and drawing techniques. And you can see that there would be an offered branded sketchbook. Very small, but it would be something that the students would use to draw in for their session. Now for the final class, we have the design basics. This is a class that I really enjoyed coming up with. I did some research and discovered a list of different projects you could complete without a computer, very tactile, very in-depth with the design process. And I just think that it's a really good workshop where people could come in and learn things about design, learning the basics of design, layouts, compositions, and things like that, but in a tactile environment, because if you haven't noticed, a lot of people are very tactile learners, and I think that it would definitely suit the course. And with it being a tactile learning environment, we wouldn't have to provide computers and programs for people to use. And at any of our workshops or even on our website, we would have our stuff for sale, so people could always purchase any of the items when they're not in the workshop, and they can take these things home and play with them themselves. And I think that would be a fun concept, and it would also create a revenue that would support the workshop itself. I believe that this is a good solution to my problem because it brings people to the building and demonstrates the skills we teach to our students. I also believe that having alumni or second years teaching the workshop would also be a good endorsement because it demonstrates the quality of professionalism that is also instilled in our students. Thank you.